So you made reference to this amazing life story. I would love to talk about that a little bit, about where you started and where you ended up and all the fun stuff in between.
All right, how much time do we have?
That's up to you. I've got all day.
I have a gift for Gab if you couldn't tell already. It's quite a story. I think it's extremely serendipitous and it's the force of destiny kind of story. It's Cinderella, all those things you want to say. It was that because I grew up in North Carolina on what most people would consider to be a cow farm. So, a little farm out in the country in the sticks of Thomasville, North Carolina. I went to the country high school and grammar school, not the city schools. But the thing is, my parents had never seen an opera, been to an opera, any of that. But they were both singers. They both were gifted, talented musicians and singers, as was most of my family.
Mm.
So I was the firstborn, and undoubtedly, my mom says I was singing right out of the womb. And my little brother came along 2.5 years later. And the only music we really had in the house was barbershop because my parents taught us both to sing four part a cappella harmony. And
You
we
had your own
traveled
quartet
in
right there in the house.
churches. Oh, yeah, we had our own family thing, the Livengood Quartet. We traveled to churches, did revivals, that kind of thing as little tiny children, kind of like the Osmonds, only less of us. And so my brother, literally daddy sang bass and he was a fabulous bass. Mama sang tenor. Me and little brother joined right in there.
Wow.
So right away we had the gift of harmony, pitch, all of that. And I sang my whole life and I did the talent shows in high school and won those and all of that. But nobody would ever imagine that there was anything about what I was doing that would become an opera singer. It was the farthest thing from even my own mind.
Mm.
So it comes time to go to college, and I choose University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, which right now that's a big deal because we're starting that NCAA basketball tournament. So
It
go
is.
Heels.
It is March
Um,
Madness coming up soon.
Very excited about that. And so anyway, I chose Chapel Hill and UNC not because of music, but because of the basketball program and my
Mm.
passion for their sports. And I love how I look in Carolina blue, whatever you want to say. That is why I chose Carolina. So I went down there for freshman orientation, had an academic small scholarship. And I go to the freshman advisor and he says, "You're missing one credit. Here are some things you could do for 1 hour." And I see on there the Carolina Choir. Now, back then, I talked like this. And I said, "Oh my goodness, I sang real good. I'd like to sing for that choir for my hour." That's the truth, honest to goodness. So he said, "Well, go over to Hill Hall and audition." Well, of course, I went over there thinking, well, I'll just sing something that I know. And I go in the building and I hear all these foreign songs. I'm
Mm.
walking in there and everybody's singing in German and French and Italian. And I'm thinking, what is this? What am I auditioning for? But I go into the room and I sing "The Hills Are Alive" from The Sound of Music in a little, small, what most would say was a light soprano voice. Heaven forbid. And the man that auditioned me looked up at me really strangely. His name was Robert Porco. He's been an incredible musician with the Cleveland Orchestra and Chorus, Cincinnati May Festival. He went on to do great things,
Mhm.
but he heard something. He was the first. And he said, "I'm going to vocalize you." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he took me all the way down to like a low C. And he goes, "Come with me. You need to come with me over to the other building and we need to sing this song again for the voice faculty." I had gone to Chapel Hill with the aspirations of being a lawyer.
A lawyer.
A
Okay.
lawyer for sure, because I thought, oh, it's dramatic. You get to have the gift of gab is one of your gifts. You get to dress up. You get to win. So I'm like, oh, perfect. I'm going to be a lawyer. So when I go over to Hill Hall and I sing the song again for the voice faculty lined up in a row at a table, very scary, they offer me a scholarship in vocal performance.
Wow.
I
Right
still
there
don't
on
know
the
what it
spot.
is. I don't know what it is. I'm like, sure, okay, that sounds interesting. I don't know what is going on, right? But I go back to the dorm and I call home while mom and dad are having their 5:30 supper. And I said, Daddy, it's Vickie Ann. I ain't going to be no lawyer. I'm going to be a singer. And the phone went thud.
Oh no.
So, I mean, because my dad truly did, anyone who ever had the blessing of hearing him sing on Man River, my dad truly had a spectacular God given gift and was offered a contract to record with RCA Victor and turned it down. Why? To have me.
Oh wow.
And so, talk about a full circle. It's all over the place in my story, these incredible full circle moments. So, my dad thought I'd lost my mind because he chose not to earn a living singing, and he was a
Hmm.
far better singer than I was.
Hmm.
So, history changes here when I go in for the first voice lesson. Now, I had had piano lessons, dance, I was a cheerleader. I sang all the time at church, solos, all that stuff, but no voice lessons anywhere. I go in for the first voice lesson, and this larger than life woman named Joyce Peck started to teach me how to breathe and how to support. And out came an alien, really. It felt like an alien. It like quadrupled in size instantly, like it had been fertilized.
Wow.
And she looked up at me and said, Oh my goodness, you're a mezzo soprano. And so I stayed 3 months, 3 months of lessons. Guess what the first full circle aria was that she gave me to sing? It was the Lullaby from the Consul by Menotti, which I just sang this past July again in LA. So I went home to my parents' recreation room with a piano against the wall out of tune, sat down, played the lullaby, and sang it with them behind me. 3 months after I started college at Carolina, I turned around, they're sobbing, and Daddy's reaching in his pocket for the checkbook.
Wow.
And they said, Please forgive us. We had no idea. And I said, There's nothing to forgive. I had no idea either. I don't even know what this still means. I just know that there's some kind of a strange voice inside of me that I didn't know I had.
There's been an alien in here the whole
It
time,
is.
and
It I
suddenly,
can't tell you how crazy that was to have a voice this big, quadruple in color and size and the whole deal. And it was natural, not manufactured.
yeah.
So anyway, I still thought I'll just be I'll be a singer and I'll be a choir director and I'll sing around town. But they brought me over to Charlotte, Opera Carolina, where I've sung many times since, and I saw La Boheme.
Mm,
It's kind of like that Julia Roberts moment in Pretty Woman
sure.
or Cher in Moonstruck, favorite movies of mine for those moments because I lived that.
Hmm.
And listening to that opera, I sat there, I felt like I was struck by a lightning bolt. I thought to myself, everything I love to do and am passionate about is in this art form. All of my gifts are in this art form that I've never heard or seen before. It touches my soul in a way I had never experienced, and I left there knowing that that's what I was born to do.
Wow.
Isn't that the coolest, wildest thing?